Hello Internet, welcome back to my kitchen, or in this case I should probably say welcome back to my office, because at this point I'm editing this video and I realized that I completely forgot to film an intro and talk about what I was doing as I was filming. So what this is a new series that I think I'm going to call Cooking Through the Book, because I have a few cookbooks and I want to cook all of the recipes in them, or at least some of them, and see how well each book is written and how well the recipes hold up. So hold on to your pants, because we're making lasagna today. If you would like to cook along as well, I'll leave the ISBN number for this book in the description below. But let's get started. The lasagna recipe here is back on page 130, and it is after you already get through the introduction and all of the how-tos. But it also references back to the bolognese sauce, which is from the beginning, where it shows you more of the how-to of how to cook. And it also refers you back to the sauce section right here, which goes back to page 68, to show you how to make a white sauce, also known as a bechamel sauce. So let's go to page 82. So to start off, you go with the bolognese recipe. There it is, and I already prepped all that stuff, and for this version of the recipe I am making it in my Instant Pot because I didn't want it to take forever to develop all the flavor. So I took all of these good things and cooked them according to directions on the stovetop first, and then I transferred it to the Instant Pot to finish the cooking process. Now, in the beginning recipes, it takes you step by step through all of how to do each thing and why, which is really, really nice. Now, when I pulled it out of the Instant Pot, my sauce looked more like step 7 instead of step 8, because this recipe counts on it being done on the stovetop, which means some of the liquid is going to evaporate much more than using an Instant Pot. I think if I were to make it the same way again, I would go to my liquid section, and instead of doing the beef stock, I would only do the red wine and probably throw in a beef bouillon cube instead to add the beef flavor to the liquids, rather than adding in more liquid to get more of that beef flavor. Alright, so now that the bolognese is done, it's going to go tell us to go to page 68 to make your basic sauces. Now, I think it really depends on how much white sauce you want. If you've ever made a bechamel, this is just a standard bechamel. You take 3 tablespoons of butter. I don't know why it's saying 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. If you're making white sauce, it's 1:1 fat to flour, which it says it up here, 2 tablespoons each. 1/3 cup of flour is not quite the same as 3 tablespoons of flour, just FYI. And then 2.5 cups of hot milk. You don't have to have the milk hot already. It helps a little bit, but I don't think it's worth heating up the milk to make it into this sauce. You just want to make sure you take enough time to cook your flour and fat together. And then as long as you whisk it constantly as you're adding the milk, it doesn't need to be warm. You just need to bring it up to a very low boil while stirring constantly and adding your salt and pepper and additional nutmeg if you want. And then you have your white sauce. Now, if I were to make this recipe again, I would probably decide to make a double batch of white sauce, just because I really like white sauce. Now we go back here, and we have all of our stuff to make our meat lasagna. And again, another note that I would make here, instead of doing, let's see, where does it say it? Here we go, step 1. Yes, you want to preheat your oven to 375. But I would not use an 8x10, I would use an 8x11, which is what I did in my video, because then you don't have to break off the lasagna noodles at all. They fit perfectly in an 8x11. So there you go. And you just assemble meat sauce, white sauce, salt, pepper, nutmeg, noodles. Repeat and don't forget the extra Parmesan cheese if you want extra cheese, which we did in this recipe. So it's meat sauce, white sauce, your herbs and spices, and cheese. And you just layer it up. And about 30 minutes later, it's done. I highly, highly enjoyed this recipe. It was very, very tasty, and I will be making this again in the future.